Durham investigation. Does the president have any concerns about a candidate for president using computer experts to infiltrate computer systems of competing candidates, or even the president-elect, to use for the goal of creating a narrative? Is that something that...
That's something I can't speak to from this podium, so I refer you to the Department of Justice.
Is what was described in that report, monitoring internet traffic, is that spying?
Again, I can't speak to that report. I refer you to the Department of Justice.
Generally speaking, though, with monitoring internet traffic...
Jackie, my answer is not going to change. I refer you to the Department of Justice. I can't speak to that from here.
I think the other big takeaway is President Trump was right. Clear back in 2017, he said, they're spying on me. And all the Democrats and the mainstream press said, no, that's not happening. 2 years later, it was Attorney General Barr who said spying took place, and the media and the Democrats had the same reaction. Now we know for sure, in 2022, now we know for sure that they were in fact spying. Right. And it was, as I said yesterday, worse than we thought.
He said in that interview that he's, quote, not told about what commanders were observing on the ground in Afghanistan.
No. That's not what I was told.
I'm just trying to get some fidelity on that, because it would seem to me that the secretary and the chairman are tasked with communicating to the president what troops on the ground are seeing. So could you help me understand what responsibility that the secretary and the chairman have for the president not getting essential information from commanders on the ground on the final days of the war?
Nancy, what I would tell you is throughout the month of August, in fact, well before the month of August, there was a very robust, steady, frequent, and all through the summer. And the chairman and the secretary absolutely take very seriously their requirement to provide the commander-in-chief with their best advice about how to proceed forward, about how the situation is changing. And there were many opportunities for them to do that, both in terms of larger interagency meetings as well as private sessions that they have weekly with the president. And they've said as much in testimony. Commanders at the tactical level absolutely were trying to make the best decisions they could in real time under incredibly difficult circumstances. And they were seeing things rightly through their prism in the moment there at the airport. There were other perspectives at a strategic level. And I would tell you that the president has a much bigger view, a larger perspective on what's going on than at the tactical level. And those discussions were happening here in Washington, D.C.
And congressional sources have told me that the White House has insisted on a waiver for Nord Stream 2 even after an invasion. Can you confirm if that is true? And if so, why would the White House want a provision like that in a sanctions package coming out of Congress?
Well, look, when it comes to Nord Stream 2, we've been pretty clear about this. The president has, at this moment, Nord Stream 2 is not even operational.
But is the White House directing Congress to put a waiver for Nord Stream 2 in effect?
That is the first I'm hearing of that. I cannot speak to it.
Wouldn't it be difficult, though, for the U.S. to continue to import Russian oil after all of the rhetoric that we've put forward about Russia not needing to not invade Ukraine and pressuring Germany to, come out strongly on Nord Stream 2 and possible punishments for Russia if they were to take this step? Wouldn't it be tough for the U.S. to continue in that event to import Russian gas?
Well, again, it's a hypothetical. I'm just telling you what we have been very, very clear. The president has been clear. Our national security advisor has been clear. We all have been clear, either from this podium or direct communication with Russia, whether it's with the president or its leadership, that...
According to Ukrainian officials, is saying that President Zelensky's statement today that an invasion is imminent on February 16th was in fact sarcastic or ironic, and more of a commentary on this idea that there are countries or entities that know of a date certain. Is that sarcasm or irony, the read of the NSC in the White House? So
I don't have a read on that. Here's what I can tell you about that. I heard the statement, but I haven't actually heard it in its full context. So the irony of all of it, I couldn't speak to. But I'll say this: as we said before, we are in the window when an invasion could begin at any time. It remains unclear which path Russia will choose to take.
Biden administration appears to have been downplaying some accounts from ground commanders involved in the evacuation of Afghanistan over the past week. We heard a State Department spokesperson say that their criticism was cherry-picked from a larger report. For President Biden himself reject those accounts. Jen last week, I believe, said that there was no after-action report. So 2 questions I wanted to ask you to clarify the White House position. One, does the White House agree that the evacuation should have been started earlier, which is what some senior military officials have asserted? And secondly, did Jen misspeak last week when she said there was no after-action report? There's been some reporting from a colleague of mine over the weekend that indicated there was indeed an after-action report that was reviewed.
So to your last question, no, Jen did not misspeak last week. This Abbey Gate report is not the Pentagon's broader after-action review on Afghanistan. That report will examine the final months